Many of you have heard of the orionproject.org, and it is a 501c3 nonprofit that we started very recently, this year in 2008. And the purpose of it is to get the public involved in the support for both the education about, but specifically the research of and development of over unity new energy technologies. And what we mean by that are electromagnetic and other systems that put out more energy than you have to supply to them, so that we can develop a robust demonstrator, at least a kilowatt or more of an energy system that could then be further developed so that your home could run on these energy systems, or your car could run on them without the use of any fossil fuels, nuclear power, or sources of pollution at all. We know that this is possible. If you do a study over the last 100 years, since the early 1900s, and at the orionproject.org, there's a lot of historical overview back all the way to the time of Tesla and Stubblefield, where these types of technologies had been developed. Unfortunately, they have over the years either been fallen into disuse, or been actively suppressed, or purchased and then what we call black shelved, where they've been put on a black shelf and kept away from the public. Now, many people find that hard to believe, and I point out that in the last couple of months there was an article at JerusalemPost.com, a mainstream English language paper for Israel, where it discussed the man who had developed a water hydrogen system for automobiles, and he was offered tens of millions of dollars by an oil conglomerate to purchase it and essentially black shelve it. And on this, it was discussing in this article how this man resisted that and is still trying to resist that. However, the average inventor over the last 100 years, if offered on the one hand enormous incentives to keep these technologies locked away within some sort of either classified project or corporate project, or on the other hand, are threatened if they try to move it out, don't do that. They don't stay the course and move the technologies out. The other problem is that many of these technologies haven't had people who knew how to get them out. They didn't have a network through which to move them out to the public in a robust way and in a very large way, so that they could actually have an effect in society. And the Orion Project has been designed to team up with our strategic network that have those sort of alliances and strategic alliances throughout the world, so that once we have either identified or developed one of these technologies, it can be massively disclosed and promulgated, and then eventually put into widespread application. And the Orion Project really is the first time that we have had an opportunity so that the average person can contribute relatively small amounts of funding to this kind of R&D, or high-tech research and development effort, and support this kind of research. One of the key reasons why that's very necessary is that many of the people who have developed these systems that we know of, and we've identified dozens of people who have information, they aren't able to do all of that work by themselves in their garage or in their basement, and it's not realistic to expect someone to be able to develop an entirely new area of physics and science and energy generation without support system, without proper logistical support, consultancy from scientific consultants. And what the Orion Project is designed to do is to create that synergy, like a campus, where we can pull all of these brilliant physicists and engineers and inventors together, but then also provide them with the technical support, fabricating support, materials management, security, logistics, and bring in the right folks when you get stuck on a certain issue to consult and solve the problem. Many people can bring these technologies 80% or 90% or 95%. They can't bring it all the way into development because they lack knowledge of optical switching, for example, or pulsed electronic systems, or what have you. There is a lot of technical burden, and most people don't have all that knowledge themselves. They have knowledge of electromagnetic systems, they have very good ideas of how to engineer systems, but they can't do it by themselves. And we have found that the best way to change that dynamic and actually get the first generation of these out to the public is to create a synergistic research and development effort under one roof where people can be brought together, where they can share information, and where the right support team can be put in place. So that's one of the central reasons for the orionproject.org. The other is to, in the event that our sister operation, the Advanced Energy Research Organization, AERO, which is a regular company, it's working also on some other technologies. If those were to reach a level of development that AERO could take them out and get them out to the public, the Orion Project would then be identified as the foundation, as a nonprofit, to see that those technologies are gifted back to areas of the world that couldn't afford to purchase them. For example, a lot of the environmental damage occurring in the equatorial rainforest areas are in areas that have very, very great poverty. And even if one of these systems costs $5,000 or $10,000 and a village would benefit from them, so they wouldn't have to chop down tropical rainforests to make charcoal to cook their food, you might as well say $5 or $10 trillion. They don't have that kind of resource. So what the Orion Project would do and will do is be able to get these technologies and then through its network see that they are gifted to areas where a great deal of environmental damage is occurring, and in working with other international relief agencies, get these technologies to these developing areas that are very impoverished, but also where there's a tremendous amount of environmental damage occurring. So that's an example of one of the roles of the Orion Project down the road. So that's really the central purpose of this effort, and as it's something where, for the first time, because regular corporations can't allow the public to participate unless it goes through an IPO, initial public offering, which itself costs millions of dollars to get done. This is a way to have a research institute where everyone can contribute a relatively small amount and create a fund to support these inventors and researchers and engineers. And so that's really the concept behind the Orion Project.